What are the implications of 4 senior members of ODM joining Kenya Kwanza cabinet? I almost said Kenya Kwisha, but I'm sure if you go to those 4 ministers and call Kenya Kwanza, you call them Kenya Kwisha, wewe ndio utakwisha. Now, I want to, of course, I have my personal feelings. I have my own personal biases and whatever. That is aside. I think a good teacher is a person who teaches you so well that you can never know his leanings and whatever. So I think I have to have my own balanced feelings, balanced opinion, which is there in the Kenyan constitution. I want to say this, that Kenya, when we got independence, up to 2010, the constitution was most leaning towards, or it was aping the Westminster constitution type of government. That is how it was doing up to that time. And I'm saying it was aping because we were not doing it. We were just pretending to be that. Because we even had the head of state and head of government being the same person. But that is not envisioned in the Westminster Constitution. So it was mostly leaning towards Westminster. Then we came up with the 2010, which is mostly leaning towards the presidential system. Presidential system that the best example is the USA. We have very many constitutions. We have even the French mixed and whatever. If you go to my earlier videos, you'll come and learn about that. The earlier ones I've talked about whatever. Even how delegates are chosen in the US to elect the president. The American president is not elected directly. He is elected, or he or she is elected through indirect election, whereby somebody who wins in a certain county, he gets all the delegates from that place. So the constitution we have now is very much similar to the American one, but it is not like the American one. So any debate, we should not look at the American one, we should look at the Kenyan one. Now, what does the Kenyan one say? It says the president. We have 3 powers. We have the judiciary, we have the legislative, and we have the executive. We have people who are in the legislature, one arm, but now have gone to other arms. For example, I want to give only 2. Njoki Ndung'u. Njoki Ndung'u is a Supreme Court judge. She used to be a member of the National Assembly. So whatever she does and whatever somebody will just tell you that she was a member of parliament. Otherwise, she behaves and does everything like a judge. We go to Muturi. Muturi, until last week, he was the Attorney General, but now he's a Minister for Public Services. No, before, yeah, he was an Attorney General and is now a Minister. It's still the same. That is the executive. But before then, he was a Speaker of the National Assembly. So he was in the legislature and now he's in the executive. So what happens? In the Kenyan, of course, we've copied that, but let us strictly stick to the Kenyan constitution. In the Kenyan constitution, after you have entered a certain arm, you forget your former arm. Or if you are nobody like me and you enter one of the 3, well and good. But if you are in one of the 3 arms and you go to the other, Muturi was a speaker, head of the legislature. Now he's a minister in the executive. Njoki Ndung'u was a member of parliament. Now she's a judge, so that one is allowed. So let us look at it this way, that in the Kenyan constitution today, the cabinet is not political. And that is why you see the first government of Ruto, I think it is only 2 or so ministers who were former politicians. And even journalists even asked, how comes that Charity Ngilu has been made a minister, and you said that the cabinet will not have politicians? So Ruto answered, you know, I tell you that this fellow is a political science, you say he's giving me something. Hey, next time I meet KJ, I'll tell him to tell Ruto to give me something. Ati namtetea sana bwana, namtetea hata hakuna kitu napewa. I think in the future niwacha nimteteage nikiwa na kitu kwa mfuko. Anyway, that is a joke. But I'm saying that when Uhuru was confronted, he didn't expect that. I was asked, didn't you say that this cabinet will not have ministers who are politicians? And Uhuru was tongue-tied, and it is Ruto, whom I always call professor of politics, came up and said, in this government, only the president and I are active politicians. Others resign from their political whatever. So Charity Ngilu resigned or whatever. And it reached a place where Uhuru government realized that placing technocrats there, you should have a good percentage of politicians to handle the cabinet. Technocrats, they are good as PS. So what happens is, yes, Ruto and Gachagua were elected on Kenya Kwanza ticket, and they had something that they sold to everybody. There is something that they sold to everybody, and that is why they were elected. Now, when they were elected, they had a program. When they had a program, if you are an official of a party, like Moses Kuria, like Maendeleo Chapchap, like all others, and even recent as yesterday, Musalia Mudavadi also resigned from ANC and gave it to Isaac Timami to head the soon-to-be swallowed ANC. So, just like, I want you to, this is what the Kenyan constitution and envisages. It says that just like Mudavadi was in the ANC, just like Badi was in the ODM, and the president, in his wisdom, that is, if you support the president, or is in lack of wisdom if you don't support the president. In his own decision, the president decided that his government would be okay if it had the following officials from ODM. So the president asked them, no, okay, I'm a grandfather, you can see the white hair. But then during those days, there were many means and ways of marrying. You could even send somebody to go and talk to her, or you could approach her. What is important is that you are married, isn't it? So what is important is that the four agreed to assist Ruto in enhancing his election manifesto. So as of now, just like Nganga Mutua, Alfred Nganga Mutua was a member of hiyo ilimezwa, but then just like Mudavadi, hata hiyo imemezwa very soon, hata ODM itamezwa. Lakini I'm saying just like these people, kina Moses Kuria, kina Alfred Nganga Mutua, kina Musalia Mudavadi, they were officials of a certain party. But resigned from, not from membership, because some membership are life membership, but resigned from active officialdom. They have resigned from their officialdom. And from now henceforth, their political leanings is a secret between them and God. Do we have a good example? Yes, very good example. You see, when you enter the National Assembly or the Senate as a senator or a member of the National Assembly, you do not go there as a member of ODM. You do not go there as a member of UDA. You go there as a third arm of the one of the three arms of the government. And you challenge the government. So on paper, shika hiyo vile unashika namba yangu ya till number. On paper, remember, you are supposed to be loyal to parliament, not the, and you are supposed to check the. Now it happens that in almost all cases, the governor, the 47 governors, plus the national government, you find that in many cases, almost all of them, the president or the governor comes from the party that forms the majority. Comes from the party that forms the majority. So you find that in parliament, in the National Assembly, or in the county assembly, leader of majority is almost always a member of the same political party with the governor or the president. And the leader of minority comes from the losing candidate. That is happening in almost all the occasions. But that is on paper. In reality, it can happen, and it has happened. It happened and it has happened. Take Nairobi. People, including me, we blame Sakaja. Oh, you're going down to ODM. You're going down to Raila. But you see, Sakaja won overwhelmingly as the governor. But ODM produced most of. So you find that in Nairobi, the leader of majority is from ODM. And you see, in the Kenyan constitution, which is apt from the American presidential system, is that the majority party has to forward programs of the government. Now take it in Nairobi. Is it called Kimwatok? Now, squeeze your skiki. Kina Kimwatok are supposed to forward things like budget, like anything, because they belong to the majority party. That is happening in Nairobi. It is happening in Nairobi. So, when the four people joined Ruto, the four, they will be confronted. And I tell you, okay, that is on paper because maybe Junet Mohammed and John Buddy have a history, to come you and whatever. But on paper, the leader of minority is supposed to shambulia huyo mtu kabisa, hii serikali yenyu bure kabisa. And in case of Nairobi, where the governor comes from a different party from the majority, Kimwatok have got my viewers, constitution and law is very sweet. It is as sweet as Lingala music. And it becomes even sweeter if you are a student of one Eliud James Nyaseda. Eliud James Nyaseda used to tell us that he was the best law teacher outside the law school. And I can tell you, vile mimi ukoroga sheria, alale palipema peponi. He was a very good teacher. And he used to tell us that number last in his class can do better than number one in a low class of another instructor. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you.